Today's podcast is brought to you by the memory of yesterday. Remember yesterday? It really was better than today. Stop kidding yourself with all that bright future bullshit.
Down with Joe DeRosa.
Welcome to Down with Joe DeRosa. I'm Joe DeRosa. One topic, one guest, 1 hour. Today, we're discussing nostalgia, and I am a horribly nostalgic person. I love dreaming about the past, longing for another time, wishing it were yesteryear, and saying things like, man, I didn't know how good I used to have it. Without question, my thirst for nostalgia sometimes interferes with my hunger for the present. But I don't want to get off on a negative note here. I think nostalgia can be a really great thing. It's a positive emotional experience. Hearing certain songs evokes the same certain feelings I got when I first heard them. Certain smells transport me back in time. And a movie like Star Wars could quite possibly bring tears to my eyes because of the rush of childlike wonder it fills me with. But that doesn't mean I'm not excited about discovering new music and undiscovered scents, and most importantly, a fresh batch of Star Wars movies. So the trick is finding a healthy balance between the stuff I love from before and the stuff I should start loving now. However, before always seems to tip the scale in its favor. It's an unfair advantage. The past is too burned into my brain, and I realize that means that some of my nostalgia can be attributed to conditional responses. Basically, my brain linked a memory to my first experience with, say, a certain taste or something like that, and now every time I taste that thing, the memory pops up. That's psychological. But my enjoyment of that happening, the tingling warmth and contented sigh it inspires, that's nostalgia. That's different, I think. Well, look, here's something interesting, and it comes from an article written by Sarah Dowdy at howstuffworks.com. Sarah wrote, quote, your brain forges a link between, say, the smell and a memory, associating the smell of chlorine, for example, with summers at the pool or lilies with a funeral. When you encounter that smell again, the link is already there, ready to elicit a memory or a mood, end quote. So again, this is sense memory stuff. But that whole bit about summers at the pool really resonates with me and makes me wonder, would nostalgia even exist if it wasn't for sense memory? Without it, would we look back sweetly on the past events and experiences of our lives, or would we simply just remember them? What I'm asking is, does our heart actually have anything to do with nostalgia, or is it our brains actually putting the fond in memories? Let's try to find out. I have a fond memory about when I first met today's guest, and it was at the movies. We saw Batman Begins. We watched the movie. I don't think we really spoke. I mean, there were other people there. It wasn't like I was just meeting him, and then we sat there in silence. He seemed real nice, though, and he is. He's hilarious, too. His comedy special and album, Beta Male, are proof of that. Further proof of his comedic skills comes in the form of the fanatical audiences that gather every week to watch him co-host LA's most popular comedy show, The Meltdown. But it doesn't stop at stand-up. He's been seen in popular films like The 5-Year Engagement and The Kings of Summer, and critically acclaimed television shows like Portlandia. He's also one of the stars of Franklin and Bash, and he currently resides on the absolutely fantastic HBO series Silicon Valley. You need to watch it. He's also a shitload of fun to drink and hang out with, and I'm just happy he's here. Kumail Nanjiani, hi.
How's it going, man? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
You'll have to take this part out, but I'm distracted by your neighbor.
Which?
You have to take this out, but she's like a redhead over here.
Why do we have to take it out?
Just because, I don't know, I feel skeezy. She's just... You don't know her? She's very attractive.
I don't think she's my neighbor. I think maybe she's meeting my neighbor. I've never seen that lady before in my life. What if I looked out the window and I was like, what redhead? What are you talking about?
She's been dead for 20 years.
There used to be a redhead that lived upstairs. She looks from the back. This sounds so gross. I don't mean like she looks good from the back. I just mean like she's not turned. She's her back.
She's a very
dressed.
attractive lady.
From the back, she looks like she might be very attractive. I haven't seen the front.
Yeah, the front's great too.
Can we leave this in, or will you get in trouble because of your wife?
Oh, it'll be fine, I think.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're allowed to.
She knows I find women attractive.
Yeah, look, but don't touch.
Oh, yeah. No touching.
That's from Devil's Advocate.
Is that the first time that phrase was said?
No, I quote that speech all the time. It's one of my favorite movie speeches ever. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I've seen it once.
The end of the movie, Al Pacino, who plays the devil in it, gives such a convincing speech against God that you're like, yeah, the devil's right. He does this whole thing. He's like, he's a sadist.
Yeah.
He tells you, look, but don't touch. Touch, but don't taste. Taste, but don't swallow. Yeah, and then he
that's
starts,
a great speech.
it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
He starts calling God an absentee landlord. He put you here and turned his back on you.
That's
I'm
pretty
here.
good.
I'm down in it.
Yeah.
I'm getting my hands. It's an awesome speech.
Yeah.
And it's playing Frank Sinatra in the background. And it was when I realized Frank Sinatra is the music that you could equally see God and the devil both like.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
It's funny that you were talking about nostalgia because right behind you have a picture of Frank Sinatra and a stormtrooper.
Yes.
That's exactly.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing in the nostalgia department for me are the things that I'm like a fan of. Like I'm like the best fan that you could ever hope to have for your band or your comedy. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'll never turn my back on you. I stick with you through the bad albums.
Are you still like
You know?
on board with like U2 or whatever?
I never
Or did
really
you like
was a
U2
big
then?
U2
Yeah.
guy. I was finding it interesting that that's the band you picked.
I don't know. I was
Why?
just trying to think of a band that now isn't as relevant as it used to be, or like Bruce Springsteen. Did you ever like Bruce Springsteen?
Never been a big Springsteen
I
fan.
loved
I like that
Springsteen.
you're really going for these mid-'80s.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do is come up with people who were huge, and I think Bruce Springsteen. Speaking of nostalgia,
Yeah.
like Born to Run, that album, I loved. Obviously, I found it years after it had come out.
Sure.
But here's interesting. This is the interesting. I was thinking about this. Like nostalgia, it's good because, like you said, it connects to a moment in your life in the past. And I think there's a bunch of reasons that's appealing. One, because it sort of takes you back. One, I think I'm afraid of growing old. We're all afraid of growing old and death. And
Terrified.
thinking of, nostalgia sort of as a reminder of, when you were even more alive than you are now.
Yeah.
But do you think that this is my fear? So I was at WonderCon, which is like a small Comic-Con,
Yeah.
and I was looking at all these like Ninja Turtles toys I used to have.
Yeah.
And I was like fucking taken back. I was like, oh my God, I remember their names,
Yep.
like
Yeah.
who was it? Oh, Snout Spout. That's a He-Man guy. I was like, I know his name, Snout Spout. And it was like, it's weird that it just goes in some part of your brain that's in there.
Yeah.
And you don't access it, but then every now and then, like it's in there. But are you afraid? I'm afraid that if I go back too much and do too much nostalgic stuff, that I'll replace those memories with my current memories. So I don't want to replace my memories of playing with Snout Spout as a kid.
Right.
With
Which sounds like a term for masturbate.
yeah. Well, he was an elephant in the trunk, and it would shoot water out. So. But I'm afraid now that when I see Snout Spout, I'm going to think of when I ran into Snout Spout, last year instead of when I was a kid. I'm afraid of.
I see what you're saying. You're
Yeah.
afraid. So you're afraid I hear what you're saying. I never, as excited as I am about Star Wars Episode 7, I mean, I couldn't be more excited. A lot of people don't get it. They go, why are you so excited? I go, the Star Wars was my Beatles. Like this is literally like if you said to a Beatles fan, the Beatles aren't dead.
Yeah.
And they're going to start putting new albums out again. I mean, it's literally the thing I never thought I'd see happen.
Yeah, but
And-
Phantom Menace wasn't so long ago.
Yeah, but it's the Star Wars, the fact that it's going to be Han Solo and Luke Scott, like the fact that
Oh.
they're doing sequel Star Wars, I'm beside myself.
Yeah.
I'm giddy. But as excited as I am and as much as I hope for that experience to be amazing, I don't want it to replace when I went to the movies as a child and saw Empire Strikes Back and was fucking devastated when the credits rolled and Han Solo was still frozen.
Yeah.
I never want to lose that. I mean,
Yeah.
that was I never want to lose the memory of crying at Superman 3 because he turns evil in it.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that in the
hard one.
theater, and I was like, what's
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah. I mean, I watched, like, Ghostbusters is a movie I watch a bunch of times. I've seen it a lot. And now, to me, Ghostbusters is just, unfortunately, a great movie and I don't really have memory of when I was a kid watching it. I sort of remembering, you know what I mean? Like, I had a ghost of a feeling. But the more I watch it, I don't connect, like, specific parts to, like, when that librarian ghost screams. I was terrified, but I can't I don't feel that terror anymore that I felt as a kid.
Yeah, I don't get the same scared feeling because I'm just older and it doesn't scare me. But I can tell you, I remember the moment in the movie theater when that happened and how much it scared the shit out of me. And then I remember this so distinctly about Ghostbusters, and it's one of the reasons I love the movie so much. I remember that my mom taking me. It was my mom and our neighbor, the mom that was our neighbor, and her son. And the four of us went. And I remembered the two moms telling the two kids, there's apparently a very scary part at the beginning of the movie. I guess they had read a review that said, like, it's good for the kids, even just get past the first 5 minutes or whatever. And
that scene where Sigourney Weaver is possessed is going to make you a man.
Yes, yeah. It's going to give you a boner, and you're not going to understand why.
Yeah.
But yeah, to this day, I still get uncomfortable watching Ghostbusters with my mom at that part. It's too animalistic and sexual. It makes me feel very uncomfortable.
You don't like it? It like connects to a part of me. Like to this day, I think that's the epitome of sexy to me. Is
no, I like it. That's why I don't like seeing it with my mom.
Of course.
Yeah. It's that scene is a guy going, I'm going to write a scene about every crazy woman that I loved fucking, that I was terrified to have in my house.
Yes.
It's that exact, they capture it in one scene. Like, this is what it's like when you're going to fuck that girl that you think you might need to hide your knives from.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah, it's going to be great. But hide the knives.
Yeah. It's going to be like, that's like roller coaster sex.
Yeah.
Complete excitement and terror at the same time.
Fear of death. And also, that's what sex is. A little bit of death, right?
Yeah. But I remember in Ghostbusters being complete, like literally jumping out of the seat scared when the librarian turns into the ghoul.
Yeah.
And then utter relief as soon as it was over and it hit the credits. And then the credits were fun and it was playing the Ray Parker Jr. song. And then knowing this, feeling the safety of, okay, I got past the big boy part. Now it's just going to be fun.
Yeah.
And then loving it so much.
Yeah.
Like, it was amazing. I remember seeing Ghostbusters 2 in the theater.
Yeah, I like 2 also. And now I can't even tell if I like it because I liked it as a kid or if, like, Gremlins 2 is one of my favorite movies still.
You know, Gremlins 2 I didn't see until very recently. And I think I saw it too late.
Yeah.
I loved Gremlins 1, but Gremlins 2 was one of those movies where it came out and I had transitioned enough as a kid that when Gremlins 2 came out, I remember being like, that looks silly. I don't want to see that. Like, it wasn't hard. It didn't have a hard edge enough to it.
No, it's totally sort of meta and goofy.
Yeah.
There's a part where, isn't that the one where the movie, the reel fucks up and then Hulk Hogan makes them put the movie you're watching? That's the first time I've seen anything meta like that. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Weird.
And there's like Leonard Maltin is giving a shitty review to the first one and then he gets attacked by the gremlins.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing. I'd never seen that shit.
It's totally fucking crazy.
It's crazy.
It's totally fucking
so
crazy.
long ago it came out. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like an SCTV sketch. You know what it's like? Gremlins 2 is like if they did an episode of The Muppets where the Gremlins like guest hosted it. Yeah. It would be like that's what it would be.
It is like that. Also that scene where the bad boss lady who's the redhead like plays footsie with him. That was another scene that like made me feel real uncomfortable.
I love that you call her the bad boss lady, and I don't think you were doing that to
I was just
childlike. I think
that's just how I always remember her. She was the bad boss lady, redhead.
That's amazing. That's going to be my new impression of you. I'm going to say that because I started.
Boss lady.
I know Pete Holmes already does an impression of you, but I started to do an impression of you, telling me to get the Strider video game.
Oh, did you get it?
I did.
That's another great because it's nostalgia.
You said to me, you go, well, it is nostalgia. Let's talk about it. I go, how's that new Strider game? And you go, oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. It's everything you could want from a Strider game. You should download it. Hey, you should do Meltdown. I always end the impression with, hey, you should do Meltdown.
You should do Meltdown.
But that's going to be the new impression. I remember the bad boss lady. You should do Meltdown.
That's right. You played the original Strider, right?
I did.
That's why it was brought up.
And I played the demo, and the demo is really good. Let me ask you this. I love how seamlessly this discussion is going.
Yeah.
I knew this would be perfect to talk about this with you. I was so happy you picked nostalgia. all these games come. I just got a PS4. You got a PS4. And you got the Xbox One. I bought the PS4. I got it before Christmas. You couldn't get the fucking thing anywhere.
How did you get it?
Okay, I did a part in Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, that's right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Did a part in Grand Theft Auto 5. I was talking to a friend at Rockstar. I said, if there's any way, I'll pay for it. I'm not asking for a handout.
Yeah.
Can you just get me one of these things? My friend was like, let me see what I can do. Maybe I can, I don't know. I got to ask. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. So he calls me back and he goes, I can't. I just can't do that. And then he goes, but I just went online and Amazon right now has 10 in stock.
Oh, wow.
And like literally just went out of his way as like
he just checked.
Fellow video game soldier,
Yeah.
like, I got your back. And I ran to the fucking computer. I think I bought it on my phone actually. And I'm an Amazon Prime member, so I got it free shipping. So I just ordered it. It was at my mom's house the day before Christmas. I was home for Christmas.
Great.
It was amazing. It was perfect. Here's the thing. So excited to have the PlayStation 4. Little pissed that 80%, I'd say, of the games coming out for it are just, hey, look at this 16-bit game we made. I'm like, I have the best system alive. Stop trying to take me back to when I was 11.
Well, it's also, but the first year of consoles, we forget. But the first year of consoles are always pretty sparse. Like now it's like they redid Tomb Raider, like Last of Us. So that's what they do the first year. It's like slightly better versions of existing games, or like these sort of nostalgia games because they're easier to make.
Right.
In a year, it'll be great.
Right.
Like I hear Infamous is good, but
right.
I mean, I like the Strider thing. They did a good job of making it bigger, but also, like you were saying, connecting to enough of the old Strider that I always felt like I was playing Strider.
Yeah.
And then we played Double Dragon together at the arcade, and we beat it.
Wasn't that so fun?
That was so fun. And that's the thing, like, I remember going to the arcade and playing all these video games, and now whenever I play them, it sort of reminds me of that smoky, horrible place I was in. But I would go every single day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was the best place on earth. And it was playing Double Dragon with you not only took me back to that time of playing Double Dragon, it was the best case scenario because we did beat it, which was awesome. And for those of you that don't know, at the end of Double Dragon, you have to fight each other.
For the girl.
For the girl.
Because she has no say in the matter. She's like, whichever one of you lunkheads is dead at the end, I'll fuck.
Yeah, exactly. She's apparently just a moralist scam.
Yeah.
That you just risked your life for an hour to try to save her. So you have to fight each other at the end of the game. And those games were fucking ruthless back in the 80s. You could always, if you hit your friend, it would actually hurt him.
Yeah.
There were no rules just because programming wasn't as good.
No,
so
they hadn't
just
figured it out.
Yeah. And so we're trying through the whole game to be careful and not hit each other, blah, blah, blah. We get to the end, we have to fight each other now. And Kumail, I remember this from being a kid, the only mistake you can make, which is he walks into the pit by accident and immediately dies.
We laughed
and
so hard.
Yeah, and I just won. And you were... You were so mad. You were like, because you were like, you just didn't see it coming.
No, we hadn't even landed one punch on each other yet.
No,
just jumped off.
You just went down and fell into a hole.
Yeah.
And I just got to fuck your girlfriend.
Well, she's now your girlfriend forever. Yeah, I loved playing that, and for me, Final Fight. I played a lot of Final Fight in the arcade, and Street Fighter 2. Like that was when I remember, like there was Final Fight would be the one. Everyone was huddled around Final Fight. And then one day I went and it was empty. And I was like, whoa, what happened? And there's another machine and it's all packed. And I slowly walk over and look over people's shoulders and it's Street Fighter 2. Dude. And then that was the fucking game forever.
Dude, I remember. These are such great memories, Kumail. I am so happy that we're talking. I know I've already said it. I mean it. Like you're really bringing up a lot of nice, beautiful memories for me right now. I remember the day I saw Street Fighter 2 for the first time. I was at I was at my cousin John's house, and I knew Street Fighter 1. I remembered Street Fighter 1. And we were at his house, and he said, after dinner, I'm going to ask if my dad will take us to Fun Zone or whatever the fuck it was. And I was like, what's that? And he's like, it's a go-kart place that has an arcade. I was like, oh, that'd be awesome. So his dad's like, my uncle, he's like, yeah, you guys can go to Fun Zone after dinner. So first I'm so excited. Like like we were at the age where we were old enough to just get dropped off at an arcade, and like I think I maybe had $10 that I could spend, so it was like it's fucking on, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, "We're going there to play Street Fighter 2." And I go, "What's that?" And he goes, Street Fighter, it's Street Fighter 2. And I go, "Street Fighter 1 is one of the worst games I've ever played. I don't want to play that." And he goes, "Trust me, dude, trust me.
It's the best game."
And the second I saw it, I was like, it literally should have had like the heaven beam coming down, illuminating it.
Yeah, there's always like, there's never a roof over a Street Fighter 2 machine. It's always bathed in the light of God. So good, man. I remember my cousin got it on, we played in the arcade, and he got it on Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And it looked just as good as the arcade.
It looks so good.
And this was before, like, you had the internet for moves and stuff, so I didn't know how moves happened. So we thought that you did a fireball by kicking 4 times and then doing the motion. So we would the whole match would be us at the edge of the screen, both of us just like doing 4 kicks and then doing that, 4 kicks and then doing that, and just like discovering the moves on your own.
How excited were you when you realized you didn't have to do the 4 kicks?
Yeah.
I mean, you must have been like...
I mean, the best.
Yeah.
Or doing like a Blanca roll, or like finding out that if you hit punch a bunch of times, it's the electricity happens. So good.
Dude, it was, for those of you younger folks listening, that's how it was back then. There, like Kumail just said, there was no internet. There was no, and if it was that fucking crazy Matthew Broderick War Games movie kind of internet.
Know that shit.
But like you couldn't just go online. You didn't have a booklet to tell you shit. It literally, you had to learn moves in a video game like you were getting like info on like a fucking racehorse. Like they say,
Oh yeah, exactly.
Lucky's Glen in the 9th. You know what I mean, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like so, like it was all like tips and secrets, and then also it used to get fucking heated. Like when you'd play Street Fighter 2. I remember
in the arcade it was bad. Like I actually stopped playing because these guys were such fucking assholes about it. It was intense.
I remember playing it on Super Nintendo at my friend Kevin's house, and he was really good. And one day I just was on, and I was beating him every round, and he got so mad that he threw the controller. He punched me in the leg as hard as he could. And he goes, "I could kick your ass in real life." That's what people would say.
Yeah.
Kids would say that to each other when you would lose. "I could fucking beat you up in real life." It was, I don't know why there was so much at stake.
I
but
think part of it was that game was so good, so tight, that when you lost, it was because the other guy was better than you.
Yeah.
And it was, you could never blame the game. It was so like well done and well balanced that you always knew it was your fault.
Yeah, it was really, video games back then really were a testament of your worth as a person. You know, like if you were good, that was like being like, I know how to play basketball really well, or I can sing.
Yeah.
It was one of those, it was a talent.
Yeah.
And it still is, but back then it was for all, that's the other thing too.
Bragging
it was for
rights.
all the world to see.
Yeah.
You had to do it in an arcade. There was a line of
Oh,
kids
and you put
behind
your
you.
name on the top 10 whatever thing for every video game, and you'd go back and you'd see it forever.
Remember putting your quarter on the screen?
Oh yeah.
For that meant I got next. I got next game. And there was a line of kids, and if you got humiliated, I mean, you felt fucking stupid. And kids that you didn't know would talk shit to you.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
My brother and I always played together one-on-one fighting games. That's sort of what our relationship was for years. We would go to the arcade and play, and because we played together, we would play the same characters, and we had the same like fighting style.
Right.
So I remember I was playing one guy, and he like figured out my style and beat me, and then my brother was next, and it was watching it was so humiliating when I was like, oh, he's doing exactly what I was doing. And even the guy was like, you guys fight exactly the same.
I mean, it's God, man, what a time that was. We had a 7-Eleven in my neighborhood that the big activity was we're going to ride bikes to 7-Eleven.
And what would you get there?
Well,
2 hot dogs, Doritos,
that's now,
and chocolate milk. That's now.
That's now. I told Kumail outside. By the way, I always say your name. I say Kumail, but it sounds like I'm saying Kumail.
Yeah.
And then people always correct me, and they go, "You mean Kumail?" And I'm like, "That's what I just said."
That's how
feel
you talk.
Data from Goonies. That's what I said.
Short round.
Yeah, short round too. We would go to outside. I told you that my meal at 7. Well, you said that you get the fucking chicken rollers.
The buffalo chicken roller is a food that has the consistency of nothing else in the world. I've never had. It's sort of like, first of all, it tastes like buffalo chicken, kind of, but it's springy. It's like hard gum that you can swallow. It's the weirdest texture, and I kind of get it like once every other month just to remind myself, like, oh, we also made this. This is also out there. It's so crazy, dude. You gotta try it.
I don't. There's no fucking way I'm ever trying. And listen, I'm like a billy goat. I'll eat anything. I'm not eating that.
Why would you not try it?
I don't like. This is a weird food hang up I have. I don't like buffalo chicken anything unless it's hot wings. Like buffalo chicken pizza, it grosses me out. See, I don't know why.
I get why you might not like it, but like you like a buffalo chicken sandwich, right? You're okay with that?
No. Hate it. Fucking hate it. Get it out of my face.
Really? To me, buffalo chicken is the best flavor of all the foods.
If there's any spiciness in a sandwich, it's got to be like Wendy's style, where it's like worked into the breading. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't. I don't
so
like.
Weird. I bring burgers home, cut up hot peppers, and put them on my burgers.
No, I love hot peppers, but that's not buffalo chicken.
No, but I love buffalo chicken too.
I love buffalo chicken wings.
Yeah.
But I don't like it in any other form. It's like banana. I love bananas, as you can see by these dark brown ones that have been sitting here for God knows how long. I love bananas. Banana flavored anything. Get it out of my fucking face.
A lot of banana flavor is very chemically. It's bad.
It tastes gross.
Like banana gum is no good. I love like banana bread because I think
I do like banana
that's
bread.
real bread.
Yeah, I like banana.
I mean,
bread.
real banana, but like banana candy, it doesn't taste anything like bananas.
Here's the weird part: watermelon, polar opposite. Love watermelon flavored anything.
Oh, weird.
Hate the actual fruit.
I'm the opposite because they don't taste the same. They're different. They're different flavors.
I love a piece of watermelon
How is it
gum.
that some guy at some point decided, like, yeah, this is what fake watermelon should be? Like, what the fuck?
Because I'll tell you why. Because some guy, some genius, beautiful scientist out there was one of the only people in the world that was willing to go, yeah, watermelon tastes like shit.
Yeah.
Here's like what it should taste like. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Watermelon's way better than fake watermelon. You know what I do like fake? Fake grape is my favorite.
Oh, fake grape is good. Again, nothing like
grapes.
That's yet a third iteration of this.
Yeah.
I love grapes and fake grapes.
Yeah, and they're totally different. I one time ate a grape that tasted like fake grape. It's the best thing I've ever eaten.
It was bright purple, right?
Yeah,
There's
bright
no way it was
purple.
green. There was no that fucking thing was green.
Why is it that fake grape is always purple, never green?
Because the green one would taste shitty, I think.
But it doesn't taste like grape anyway. Make it any color you want.
Yeah, you're right.
I'll tell you this. Speaking of nostalgia, when I was a little kid, I grew up in Pakistan, and I had an aunt in Singapore. And every summer, my parents would send me to Singapore, just like, here, you're her responsibility now. And Singapore was the most westernized country I'd ever been in. Like, they had a McDonald's. We never had a McDonald's. They had a McDonald's, KFC, and Toys R Us. And my aunt would like, in the morning, drop me off at the Toys R Us, and I would just hang out there all day, and she'd pick me up in the evening. I'd just walk around and look at toys.
Would you ever get anything?
I had for the whole summer, I had a certain amount of money that they gave me, so I had to be very, very careful. Like, I knew I could buy like one thing a week or something was what I'd budgeted. I'd figured it out. I was good with that kind of stuff. But just a couple weeks ago, Emily wanted to go to Bali. So we were going to Bali. On the way back, we had to connect to Singapore. And I was like, hey, let's stay in Singapore for a couple days. So I stayed in Singapore, and I went back to that fucking Toys R Us.
Still there.
Couldn't
find one here if your life depended on it.
And I almost... I'll show you this picture that Emily took of me at this Toys R Us. I was fucking beaming. And it's amazing how, like, the names of the streets in Singapore, like, I remembered the names, like Orchard Road, Serangoon Road. Again, that was, like, some weird box in my brain. But... it was still in there.
It's just in there.
And I went back so hard.
Oh, I can still remember my childhood phone number, the address, the cross streets, all that
Ours was 5354438, and then it changed to 5835438.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I would say mine, but I'm too afraid it's somebody else's actual phone number.
Oh,
now.
yeah. This is in Pakistan.
Yeah, you're safe.
Go after those people.
I dare you. What?
It's not loading.
Oh, it's not loading. Well, that's one of the shitty things about adulthood. And I'm not saying this in an arrogant way, like I'm swimming in some kind of money pool every night. I'm not.
The money?
I'm living like a regular man, but I'm a single man, which means I don't have to spend any of my money on children or a wife or a girlfriend. So I have money to buy the stupid shit I want. It ruins it.
Dude,
I'm
does.
just amassing this DVD collection. I'm like hundreds of DVDs behind.
Yeah. For me, like, if I would buy something, I could not wait to, like, play that video game or whatever. I got like Infamous 2. I haven't touched it. I got Assassin's Creed 4. I haven't touched it. I got the Tomb Raider. I haven't touched it.
I got the Tomb Raider refaced, whatever, reboot, whatever.
Haven't touched
Played
it.
one level. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
I was at WonderCon and I bought, for so much money, I bought one of my favorite Ninja Turtle toys as a kid. That was one of my favorites as a kid. And I just bought it. And then I was like, why did I buy this? Am I
so you bought that, yet you'll still drag me to a bar that gives you discounted drinks every Friday. That's it.
Hey, by the way, it was way less crowded than Rustic and Drawing Room in there.
Okay. One time, Kumail likes this bar in our neighborhood when we go out to drink, and he always makes us go to it, and we're always like, it's not that great. It's not a bad place.
Hey, they've got good food.
It's not a bad place. They do have good food, but there's never really any seats, and it's just kind of this bar. It's out of the way. It's farther of a walk than any of the other bars.
It's still a walk. It's so close.
Yeah, but we're always just kind of like, why?
Well, why do you like
love
going?
This place? And then we found out he loves it because they discount his drinks.
That's a great reason.
The man that just spent $890 on a fucking Hammerhead toy. Or Rocksteady and Bebop dolls.
It was an undercover Donatello.
Oh, in the trench coat?
Yeah, with the mask. Yeah.
What? How much was it? Say it.
It was a lot.
Say how much it was.
It was a lot.
Come on. We all know you're on a TV show. It's not going to be a big surprise that you got a couple of bucks to throw away on a Teenage Mutant. I don't think this is going to come across as arrogant.
I got 2 Ninja Turtles toys.
Yes.
For $100.
That's not a lot.
I mean, for that they were selling for $8 or $9 when they were.
That's not. I thought you were going to say it cost you like $500.
No. I feel a lot of guilt spending money on myself, like a lot of guilt.
I know,
buying shit
which
for
is
myself.
why you make us walk a mile to go to a bar that takes a quarter off every rum and coke.
That's way more.
Yeah, I know. And the best part is he goes, "It's a great." This is what he did. He goes, "It's a great bar, man. It's a great bar." Notice I'm not doing my impression now of you because I think it's obnoxious when somebody always does the impression. It's shitty. He goes, "It's a great bar. It's so cheap." I go, "Great." And we go down.
Well, I didn't realize that I was getting a deal until you guys weren't. And I was like,
we get our tabs. He goes, "Dude, my whole tab the whole night, $15." And I go, "That's awesome. Can't wait to get my tab for $47." It was just like a regular tab.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, great." And I also have to Uber home now. Thanks, man. This is fun.
Okay, tell me how you feel about this. Going back to nostalgia. Yes.
Oh, go ahead. Well, I don't want to cut you off. Can you hold this thought?
Yes.
Because I want to tell you about my nostalgia for the greatest bar I ever went to.
What was it?
Are you ready for this? Kutztown University, where I went to school in Kutztown, Pennsylvania, sandwiched in between Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and Allentown, Pennsylvania, just outside of Mennonite country, okay, which is sort of like Amish country. This little oasis in just the sea of farmland, this old artsy-fartsy town. You go there. If you're not an alkie when you get there, you'll be one when you leave. All there is to do is drink. We had a bar called the Firehouse because it was in the firehouse, in the basement, members only.
Like where the firefighters were?
Where the firefighters work.
And currently work there.
Huh?
They work there currently.
Yeah.
Like
it's the Firehouse. There was a bar in the basement, a functioning bar in the basement of the Firehouse. You had to be a member to get in. Being a member meant becoming a member meant I'm a member. I recommend you. You pay $7. You're now a member. But
a lot of places do that where you have to become a member. Like North Carolina does that. It's to get around some weird law.
It is. But here's the great, probably because it was a bar in a firehouse.
Yeah, for sure.
Here's the best part, though. For some reason, it was enough of a hurdle that a lot of people just didn't do it.
Yeah.
So the only people that hung out there were like the punk rock kids and the hippie kids, and it was cool. It was like, this is a place where the kids that get it are hanging out. And there were 3 functioning bowling lanes in the bar. Drinks. Are you ready for this?
Meanwhile, outside, houses are on fire.
Well, the firemen didn't hang out down there. I don't think they did. That'd be funny if they had to bartend.
Yeah, they're like, I'm sorry, there's a fire. Service is going to be terrible.
We'll be right there. Table 18 needs kamikaze shots.
Exactly.
Here's the best part. You ready for this? Drinks. All beers came in frosty mugs. mugs that they
Oh, that's
froze
great.
in a freezer. 65 cents for draft Frosty mug beers. Mixed drinks, $1.50. Pitchers
Wow.
of shots, $5. I literally would go down there as a broke college kid with change I fished out of my couch cushions and would still get reasonably drunk. It was the best bar on earth.
That's a crazy deal.
And I've tried to rediscover it in every city I've ever lived, and there's just nothing I've ever
Do you know if
experienced.
it's still going over there?
It is. I went back to Kutztown a few years back with a friend of mine who also lived in New York at the time, and he said, let's go back.
Is
and
your
let's have a
membership
night."
still?
It wasn't, but how great is this memory? We go to the door. It's literally 1:45 in the morning.
Yeah.
It's pouring rain outside. We're alone. We're drenched. The bartender comes up. She's like, sorry, guys, we're closed. This isn't a public bar. We go, you got to understand. We went to college here.
Yeah.
This was our place. We have so many memories. And we gave her the whole spiel. She goes, all right, guys, I'll let you in for one. We went in. We got a pitcher of shots and 2 drinks. We drank it. And it was amazing. And then that was
Yeah.
it. That was my last memory of the place. It was so fitting. It was completely empty when we went in. It was just perfect. It was fucking perfect. And I would love to find a bar like that here where we
It's
could look
hard.
back.
Well,
But
in our
I'm-
area, every bar is so packed on the weekends.
It is.
It's tough.
My point is I'm never going to look back on your favorite bar and go, man, that place. I'm never going to be at the door of that place going, please, my friend got 10% off
Jay's?
his drinks here.
No,
Please
I'm not
let me in.
The bar that I like to sort of in our area that I like the most in terms of how it feels is the drawing room. I like that place.
I love it. It does when it's crowded. It's a little hard to
sucks.
negotiate, but like it's or navigate rather. But it's
If everything is empty, I'll go there.
yeah, it's nice when it's empty.
I like
don't like when
rustic,
it's
too.
too empty. I like rustic. Rustic in. We're talking like everybody knows.
Yeah,
these places.
what are we doing? All right, let's move off.
What
Well,
were
I
you
have a
gonna say?
nostalgia question.
Yeah.
How do you feel about these things that sort of when they try and capitalize on it? So where they like every couple of years reboot Ninja Turtles. Now they're doing a Ninja Turtles movie or the Transformers movie. How do you feel about that? I assume you like Transformers or whatever. Like, does that feel cynical to you or is that cool?
I don't really have a problem with it. Here's why. And it's the reason why I defend the Star Wars prequels. If I'm a fan of the thing and they're going to keep making more of it, even if I don't love every aspect of the more of it that they make, there's still going to be shit in there that's going to really get me going. And quite possibly 1 out of 3 attempts will be amazing.
So did you?
And if I don't care, then who cares? If I'm not into
Yeah.
Transformers anymore, so it's like I don't give a fuck if they
Yeah.
rebooted 8 times.
Yeah.
I don't care.
That's
Like,
how I feel. I'm like, people are like weird about like Ghostbusters 3 happening and people are upset about it. I'm like, it's not going to ruin the first 2. It really doesn't
Right,
like, ruin
right.
it.
yeah.
That's how I feel. Like, even with like the Transformers movies, which I do not like, but I'm like, yeah, go for it. I don't care.
Yeah,
people
I
get
don't-
really upset about it though. They're like,
people
you're-
get so
yeah,
upset.
Yeah.
And it's like I always say like
I could see getting upset about Star Wars because you thought that was going to be amazing and then it wasn't, and that's a huge disappointment. But Transformers, you knew what that was going to be.
well, here's my thing with Star Wars, and this is my argument, and this is a very nostalgia-based argument. Were there lightsaber battles? Uh-huh. Were there new alien planets? Uh-huh. Were there space dogfights? Uh-huh. Okay, we're halfway there. We're halfway there.
No, but those movies aren't awesome because of those things. They're awesome because of it's an awesome movie.
There are a lot of them, but a lot of that is what makes it so great. A lot of that is so God damn it, you know what I'm saying? Like indicative of Star Wars and what Star Wars is.
Yeah.
You know, Star Wars is such a unique, specific thing that something as much as like a sound effect or as little as a sound
Yeah.
effect can really get you going. You hear a lightsaber noise and you're just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I have this stupid app on my phone just so I can hear lightsaber noises
Yeah.
whenever I want.
But if you weren't into Star Wars growing up, then the prequels wouldn't have like done it for you.
They probably wouldn't have, and I also think I would have watched them and just been like, they were fine. Who cares?
Yeah, who
Like,
cares?
But my point is like the elements of Star Wars were enough there that it got me halfway there.
Yeah.
So then it just becomes about like, well, did I like when like, you know, the little kid said this cheesy thing or there's a bad love scene? No, of course I didn't. I hated those parts. But could I hold my breath through it to get to like the next cool thing? Of course I could.
Well,
You know what I
here's
mean?
For me, like, I was never a huge Star Wars fan. I love the Indiana Jones movies. But like the fourth Indiana Jones movie, I was so fucking excited about.
I was so
I went there opening night with like 10 of my friends in New York. And I was so excited. People
Yeah.
were like, I don't know about this. And I was like, it's Steven Spielberg. He can make an action movie. And then it was so bad. The only thing that honestly took me back was the music. That was the only thing that would like sort of get me going. And that really got me angry. My experience with that was very different from your experience with the Star Wars prequels, in that I didn't think there was enough Indiana Jonesy stuff to get over the badness. Which was,
you're gonna think I'm crazy. I kind of liked it. I saw
crazy.
it 7 times in the theater, and
you saw Crystal Skull 7 times in the theater.
I did a whole episode of this podcast where we talked about fandom, and I talked about this. Like, I saw it 7 times in the theater because I was like, this might be the last time I ever get to see an Indiana Jones movie in the theater. And again, did I think it was a perfect Indiana Jones movie? Of course not. But did I think it was terrible? No. I was like, okay, the chase scenes felt like Indiana Jones to me. The action sequences, I love the whole opening in the warehouse and everything.
The only thing I liked was the gunpowder flying in the beginning. You know, where it like they release the gunpowder and then it flies to the thing.
I love the whole opening where he's like, where they're chasing him through the warehouse. I love the whole motorcycle chase. I like
the library chase, but
yeah, the library chase. I like the jungle parts. I didn't like now. Here's what I didn't like. I didn't like obviously like him swinging on monkey vines. Shia LaBeouf swinging on monkey vines.
Totally horrible.
I didn't like Shia LaBeouf like sword fighting. Like that part was stupid. Then it didn't ruin the ants part. I thought was fun.
It didn't ruin the other one, is what I'm saying. But I really, really hated it. And to me, it wasn't Indiana Jones because Indiana Jones is not sci-fi. Indiana Jones is adventure. And this one with like the alien and shit, like to me, that's not what Indiana Jones is. Indiana Jones is old temples with magic stones and shit. Indiana Jones is not aliens.
Well, here's the thing. Here's my counter argument for that always, and people bring that point up a lot. The other. The type of relics and you know things that Indiana Jones goes after, a lot of that you know sort of civilization of the past stuff where we can't figure out how they could have had the technology. A lot of the theories surrounding how it existed is alien based.
I know how they linked it, but
but here's the other part of it too. So that didn't bother me because I was like, of course that would be the next step. It's alien discovery or whatever. I also understand where they were coming from. They were like, okay, we've got to do it in the 50s. Our approach to the ones that took place in the late 30s and early 40s where we did the serial action movies of that period and tried to recreate that. If we're doing one in the 50s, let's do it more like one of the B movies, Mars Attacks kind of things. And I understand the attempt. Was it successful? I think it would have been a lot better if they didn't do it. But I get where they were coming from, and that's a lot of it for me. That's a lot of why I forgive. I go, I see what he's trying to do.
It's so, like, there's nothing, like the first Indiana Jones, there's that great scene where he's got the idol there, and he's got a bag of sand, and you just see him, like, eyeball it, and you're like, that's so fucking badass. He's so bad. He's eyeballing it. And then he, like, switches it, and he gets it wrong. Like, that's so funny and clever, where he goes from, like, being badass to, like, he fucks it up.
Yeah, it's great.
It's such a great scene. The shot, like, with the idols in the background, and he's got, like, the bag of sand in his hand, and he's letting it go. There was nothing cool like that in this one. There was nothing, like, nothing was funny. Do you remember anything being funny? All those movies were so funny. They're, like, funny movies.
There are parts where I laughed. I like when he goes, you're a teacher, and he just goes, part-time. I think that part's funny. You just smiled a little bit.
That's a fine line, but... I own it on DVD and I never watched it. Or Blu-ray, I bought it and I never watched it.
Yeah, I have the set on Blu-ray.
You know why it's easy to get just that movie on Blu-ray? Because everyone bought the set. It's the only way to buy them, and they get the 4 movies and then they get rid of the one that they don't want.
It gives me... But I'm telling you, like, from a nostalgia standpoint, when I saw this, that's the way they introduce him in the film, where there's the silhouette of him against the car and the music. I got, like, chills. I got teary almost.
I did, too. I'll tell you what part really bummed me out. I liked it up until there's the scene where they're looking into the crystal skull and it's, like, hypnotizing him or whatever, and I was like, what is this fucking bullshit? That's when I was like,
But
this
why?
is not.
But why
this
does
is
that? But here's the thing: why does that bother you more than him finding a man that's lived in a cave for 500 years?
Because there's like a
magically?
mystery to it. It's exciting. This guy's been living in a cave. What's he been doing for 100 years? He has this one job. Like, that's romantic and exciting. Looking into an alien skull and it's doing something to your brain, that's just kind of stupid, I think. There's nothing like exciting. What I like about the Indiana Jones movies is that they have such a sense of history. All the stuff that they find and whatever has like this awesome.
But
like,
there's a crystal. There's
a
a crystal skull thing too. That's a
no.
real
I know
thing.
the crystal skull thing.
But here's the other. Here's my other thing with Crystal Skull. I've thought about this so much, and I've really watched and read everything I could on it. There's a pattern with Indiana Jones. If you'll notice with the 4 movies, every other movie is religious relics, and the ones in between are more like out there voodoo, goofy, whatever. Crystal Skull is a lot like Temple of Doom. It's him. He's got a sidekick. It's all in one place the whole time. It's a very, very clear-cut mission that he's on. There aren't a lot of twists and turns to it. It's like, we're here, we got to get this thing, and that's it. There's a lot of magical shit happening. Temple of Doom, they're ripping people's hearts out, yet they're still alive.
I'm okay with magic. I'm just not okay with sci-fi in Indiana Jones. To me,
See,
just
I think that's so nitpicky. Don't you think? No,
Oh,
well,
it's
but,
not nitpicky.
but-
But everyone agrees with me. You realize that, right, Joe?
well, that's why I think
Everybody hates Crystal Skull,
That's-
and they're all right, and you're wrong.
No, it's
Yeah.
always the world is always wrong, and I'm always right. That's,
No,
that's just the way the world works. History books will tell you.
That's just a coping mechanism, Joe.
But here's my question. Don't you think that that's just you being older? Don't you think if you saw Crystal Skull as a 9-year-old kid or however
Dude,
old you were?
I
when you
liked everything when I saw when I was 9. That doesn't make it
That's not
good.
true.
I liked everything.
That's not true.
I didn't like grown-up movies, but I remember like Crawl was one of my favorite
But my
movies.
point is, so then let me
Beastmaster I love.
Let's sort of reverse engineer it then. What if you saw Temple of Doom right now for the first time? What if that was the 4th Indiana Jones movie? Let's say Crystal Skull was the 2nd one and you loved it just because you saw it when you were a kid. And right now, Temple of Doom came out. You'd probably be like, what the fuck is going on? They got this fucking kid with them the whole time. They're doing voodoo shit. They rip the guy's heart out and he's still alive. Then he turns bad. This sucks. I'm telling you, that's how you would react to it.
I think that one is the weakest of the first 3.
Oh, dude.
Temple of Doom is.
Watch your fucking mouth.
I love it. I love it. But I think I like Last Crusade better. And I think Last Crusade I like better because I was old enough to kind of get it more. You know, like I very specifically remember specific parts. The old guy was really, really awesome. And then the first one is the first one, and it's fucking amazing.
Temple of Doom.
I just saw it like a month ago.
I think it's a perfect progression of movies in the sense of it literally goes from best to worst, in my opinion. I think it literally goes Raiders, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, Crystal Skull.
Last
that order.
Crusade I haven't seen in a while, but I remember loving that
Look,
movie.
I love it. I'm not saying I don't love it.
Yeah.
But Temple of Doom is so... I mean, Jesus
No, I
Christ.
really like it. I'm not going to argue with you on this. I'm just saying of those 3, it's my least favorite, but it's
I'm
still
not trying to argue
the
with
third
you.
best movie I've ever seen.
I don't want you to think I'm trying to start an argument with
Yeah.
you. You said that a little bit like, Joe, I'm not going to argue with
No.
you.
I just meant like I'm not going to be like
know,
arguing about why it sucks. Because I
know.
don't think it sucks.
I'm
I
just
think it's
joking.
awesome.
I know
Yeah.
exactly how you meant it. That just
Yeah.
sounded funny.
I really like all those movies. I just don't like the 4th one. Another one, let's change subject for a second.
Please.
X-Files. I love X-Files. It's like my favorite fucking TV
know.
show of all time, probably.
You had that great routine about the movies. Is that what you're
Yeah.
going to get to?
Yeah, and then the second movie, like, really, really, really bummed me out.
But
And
you said the first one also bummed you out.
No, I like the first one.
But wasn't your bit the second movie was like you go back to the friend that asked you for money for heroin and then she asks you again?
Oh, you know what I
after-
didn't like? I didn't like the last seasons of the show. That's what you're thinking about.
Okay.
Season 7, 8, 9 are real bad.
Okay.
1 through 5 really good. Movie pretty good. Season 6 pretty good. 7, 8, 9 real bad. So that's the shitty girlfriend.
Okay, I see.
And then the second movie's coming out, and I was excited because they showed this preview at Comic-Con, and someone just like put up their phone and got it, you know? So you see, like, when Mulder shows up, the whole crowd goes nuts. There's thousands of people.
Because he had been gone, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like got teary-eyed watching that. And then I watched the movie, and it didn't bum me out. It didn't ruin X-Files for me. I still love the show. I'm rewatching it again for the 4th time right now. It just bummed me out because I thought it was going to be awesome, and it wasn't.
Right. Well, I like that you said it didn't ruin the show for me, because I think that's the key thing with truly nostalgic people. And as we talk about Crystal Skull or Star Wars or Ghostbusters 3, whatever it is, here's the thing. It never ruins the other thing.
No, it
There's
really doesn't.
just more of it now.
Yeah, and if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's always how I look at it.
Yeah, and those things just bummed me out because I thought they were going to be great, and then I didn't think they were great. Like, to me, I remember, like, I love Superman movies, you know?
Did you like Superman Returns?
I did not. But I never, to me, Superman Returns didn't connect to the old Superman. Like, I thought the Christopher Reeve movies were their own thing. But I remember when Batman came out, and that was like the first cool superhero movie to me. Superman's really good, but Batman was cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Batman, Tim Burton's Batman, the original one, is pretty fucking slick.
Yeah.
And never had we seen, I mean, even with given that we had Gene Hackman, in a Superman movie, we had never seen anything like Jack Nicholson being like, yeah, I'm going to do a comic book movie.
Yeah.
It was like, what is happening? This guy's the biggest movie star alive.
And Batman just looks cooler than Superman. So, and I was like at the age a little bit. I was still pretty young, but like things that were cool, I wanted. Like I loved that the Sega Genesis looked black, and it didn't look like a kid's machine.
I had Sega Genesis over Nintendo for that reason, and that was their ad campaign.
Yeah,
they took. Nintendo was beating them, and then Sega Genesis took the lead when they started the campaign of like, Super Nintendo's fine if you're a kid.
Yeah.
Come over here with the big boys.
Yeah.
And that's when everybody was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Super Nintendo.
They show blood in Mortal Kombat on Sega Genesis.
Super Nintendo, the controllers are like purple and lilac and shit, and Genesis was black.
Yeah.
You know? So, and that at that age, that shit mattered to me. And that's what I loved about the Batman movie. The first one was like, it was so cool.
Yeah.
And it still is.
Well, here's the thing. I'm such a nostalgic guy that like when I saw Superman Returns the first time in the theater, I thought it was amazing. It blew my fucking hair back because I was so excited that they were tying it back to the Christopher Reeve ones.
Yeah.
The music, the same credit. One of my favorite, it might be my favorite movie opening of all time, are the Superman movies when it goes up into space and it goes dun 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 dun, like that slow build up into the music, and then when I'm literally getting goosebumps right now when the fucking Superman emblem flies in and makes that fucking space swoosh noise. So that carried me through the movie. And then also that you were seeing things you'd never seen in a Superman movie, like his eye stopping a bullet and shit like that.
I didn't think the movie was going to be good until I saw that preview where it hits the eye, and I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Then again, I was disappointed, but I didn't go in with like a ton of baggage into it. I didn't go in the way I did with Indiana Jones or fucking X-Files, you know? Did you like Man of Steel?
I did.
You did like it.
I did. I think... I'll tell you that in a second. Here's the thing. With Superman Returns, when I went to see it a second time because I thought it was so awesome, that's when I was like, man, I don't think this is good. Like, I didn't like it. I'll still throw the DVD in, though, to just watch the parts I like. I'll skip around and whatever.
You like the plane scene? Is that what you like?
The planes. I love the plane scene, and it says he's back on the newspapers, and you're like, he is back. I love that. Man of Steel I liked. I look at the Superman movies the way I look at the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, which I'm also very, very nostalgic for.
Yeah.
I love Nightmare on Elm Street. That was my gateway horror movie.
Yeah, for a lot of people.
Yeah, totally.
It's a little fantasy, too.
It's just the coolest concept. Yeah. And I loved the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, and people said...
I never saw it.
I thought it was great.
I really wanted to see it because I love Nightmare, and everyone was like, don't watch it, don't watch it, don't watch it.
Here's the thing. This is why you can borrow it if you want. I own it.
I will.
Here's why I liked it. And this was my argument with people that said it sucked. I was like, I'm a fucking tried and true Nightmare fan. Okay, I've seen every one of these fucking movies, and from the time I was 4, from the time of part 4, where I was old enough to see them in the theater, I saw every one of these fucking things.
Did you see New
in the
Nightmare?
Theater. I saw from 4 out, I saw every one in the theater opening week. I was like, I've stuck with this fucking franchise. And if anybody's going to sit here and tell me that the Nightmare on Elm Street remake is worse than Nightmare on Elm Street 4, 5, or 6, fuck you, man. You're an idiot. You're just an idiot.
I think, the Nightmare movies, and I love them. I honestly, this might be a weird thing to say. I think Freddy is awesome. I think the way it looks is awesome. The special effects look really cool. I don't think any of them are really great movies.
I think the first one is.
I don't even think the first one is like a great movie. I love watching it, and I've seen it a bunch of times. I own all the Nightmare movies. Honestly, you know what my favorite Nightmare movie is to watch now? Freddy vs. Jason. I really like that movie.
Oh, I saw that in the theater too.
Yeah.
Opening weekend. Well, and that's my point. These same fucking dickweeds that say the Nightmare on Elm Street remake sucked are like, yeah, I like Freddy versus Jason. And it's like, yeah, I think it's a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
But you're going to sit here and tell me that this remake is worse than that? Why? Because it's not the exact vision you had of a Nightmare on Elm Street remake? Because somehow this existing now ruins your other thing? It doesn't. It's just another telling of the story again.
Yeah.
They've made 18 Zelda games. It's the same story every time.
Yeah.
Why can't they do that with Nightmare on Elm Street? It doesn't bother me.
Did you like the... Yeah, people told me not to see it, but I totally see it. And you're right. A lot of those movies aren't that great. They're just kind of fun to watch, and they have fun, like... Freddy shows up in different ways, and he's got fun quips and stuff. And
well, I'll tell you, that's one of the things I liked the best about it, or the most about it, was that it was like, okay, finally, there's a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, because that where Freddy doesn't fucking put sunglasses on and go like, life's a beach, or whatever stupid fucking thing he would say.
They say that it all went downhill is when he like pulls the woman's head into the TV, and he goes, "Welcome to primetime, bitch."
That's one of my favorite killings.
And it's a great killing. And that was apparently improv. It wasn't in the script. And they said that line people loved so much that that's what it became. He just became this like wisecracking clown guy.
Yeah, and that's the shame, because what I love about Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is it really does a nice job of walking the line between like hokey one-liners, but he's still sinister and scary.
Yeah.
And I love that line.
Yeah.
Because it's just
Welcome
so...
Yeah.
Welcome
to primetime, bitch.
It's a badass line.
Nobody says bitch better than him.
Nobody.
That's why what Freddy versus Jason I like, because he's doing the opening narration, and then at one point he says, "People forget about you." No, that's a bitch. I was like, yes, he's awesome. He says bitch so great.
You know what's so funny? He does deliver that line well. That was the point in the movie where I was like, okay, this is gonna suck. Freddy just said, "Now that's a bitch."
But I thought that movie did a good job of keeping that wisecracking Freddy guy.
Right.
But also, because they pit him against like an even more powerful guy, and then Jason's kind of the good guy in that movie, which is weird. I thought he did a good job of sort of keeping the continuity, but taking the character in a fun new direction. And I liked a lot of the kills. That movie has great fucking kills.
It's got great kills. Yeah, the bed, when he folds the bed in half or whatever.
Even like the scene at the rave with in the cornfield or whatever, when he chops the guy's head off, is awesome. There's a lot of great kills. I'll put that in and just like skip the different kills.
Yeah, well, and when I say I sat there going, this movie's going to suck, I don't think the movie sucks. I enjoy it quite a bit. But again, this was a movie, just like with Crystal Skull, where I had to go back. The first time I saw it, I hated it. I had to go back.
Oh, you hated it?
I hated it. And then for years, I was like, fuck that movie. But there was a little thing inside me going, buy the DVD, buy the DVD. And I finally bought it. And when I watched the special features and the director said, I just wanted to make like one of those classic Hollywood monster mashup movies, like Frankenstein versus Dracula. I was like, oh yeah. Now I get where he was coming from. Now I can watch it through that lens. Yeah. Now I like it.
They have that weird like fight scene where they're doing like wrestling moves, and then the weird pinball fighting scene. I think that's fun.
Well, he said like that's what he said was like he wanted it to be like a brawl. He wanted it to be like a monster brawl.
I haven't seen all the Friday the 13th movies. I've seen a bunch of them, but not all of them.
Friday the 13th, way higher batting average than it gets credit for.
Really?
Way, way higher batting average than it gets credit for. The first one's a classic. Once you know what the big twist is.
It's not amazing.
No, it's very boring because you know what the twist is. But at the time, it was probably pretty cool.
And Jason's not in it.
Right, until the end. But that end scene is
It is a great end
terrifying.
scene.
Yeah. Part 2 is awesome. Part 3 is great. Part 4 is solid. Part 5 Sucks. Part 6 is awesome.
What's 5? Is that the Manhattan?
No, 5 is the one where Jason dies at the end of 4, and it's like up until part 4, it's like it's not like he dies and comes back to life. It's like they think he's dead and he's not dead.
Yeah.
Part 4 is like it's called the final chapter. Like they kill him, he's dead.
And then that's Hell is the next one, 5?
No. Man, no, you're all out of sequence.
I haven't seen them all.
That's okay. I'm not saying that as a criticism. I'm just saying, let me get you straight here.
Yeah.
Part 5 is they go to. We're such fucking nerds. Only 2 people like this would be like, don't be offended that I insinuated that you don't know your Friday the 13th order. So part 5 is because he's dead. It's about people that survived Jason at some like mental facility, and then Jason turns up again, but it's not Jason. It's somebody posing as Jason.
Oh.
Part 6. Kumail. Part 6 is called Jason Lives.
Okay.
And it's Tommy, the kid from part 4 that's played by Corey Feldman. Now, as a grown man, it's not Corey Feldman, though, in the movie. The opening of the movie, he's with the guy that played Horseshack in Welcome Back, Kotter. And they're going to Jason's grave. That's how the movie opens. And he's like, I need to see with my own eyes that he's in that coffin and dead. They go to his grave. They dig him up. Tommy gets so overcome with emotional rage, he pulls a metal pole off of the fence and starts repeatedly stabbing Jason's corpse. And it starts raining, and he walks away with the metal pole, and Jason, lightning strikes it.
Okay.
Reanimates Jason. Jason gets up, punches Horseshack through the chest, and his hand comes out the other side, and he's holding his heart. Best horror movie kill of all time. And then there's a scene later in the movie when the caretaker for the graveyard sees that his body got dug up. Jason's body isn't there anymore, and he thinks kids dug him up as a prank. And he goes, who the hell would want to go digging up Jason Voorhees?
Yeah.
Some people have a real sick idea of what's entertaining. And then he looks at the camera, and you're like,
oh, jeez. Wow. And then
it's an awesome movie.
What's Jason Goes to Hell? What's that?
Well, then part 7 is one where this girl has ESP, and that one's awesome. And then part 8 is Jason Goes to Manhattan.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember that one. I feel like I should see it again.
It's on a boat. It's on a cruise ship.
He gets like on a boat, and then he ends up in Manhattan. I just never wanted to see it again because I was like,
you know what?
Jason Goes to Hell is the one after that, though, and that one sucks.
I don't even dislike Jason X. I think Jason X is kind of fun.
I tried, but then when they did the whole like robotic Jason, like I
sure that's dumb, but I thought they did a fun job of like commenting on like the tropes and stuff. Speaking of these franchises, I would say out of all of them, the best first movie is Halloween, because that's a fucking amazing movie.
I prefer Halloween 2 to Halloween.
I like Halloween 2 also,
Yeah.
but Halloween I think is my favorite. I've seen the third one too, which is the Masks Season of the Witch.
That's fun if you don't watch it as a Halloween movie.
It's not a Halloween
You just watch
movie.
it as a horror movie. It's fun.
Well, his plan was to have a different Halloween movie every year that's completely different, but the
Right.
first one did so well, the studio was like, all right, do one more with the same character, then go off.
Right.
So by the time he did the third one, now people are like, no, Halloween is Mike Myers. What are you doing?
Did you ever hear the John Carpenter story about why they're brother and sister?
No.
Because if you watch the first movie, you're like, they're not brother and sister. The fuck?
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with her.
Yeah.
She's just some girl that gets caught up in all this.
Yeah.
He said he was writing the sequel, and he wasn't really thrilled about it because he didn't want to do it, like you just said.
Yeah.
And he goes, John Carpenter goes, I was sitting at my typewriter. I drank about a 6-pack. I had absolutely no idea what to write. And I just go, oh, God help me. I'll make them brother and sister. And he thought it was the stupidest idea. And then it turns out to be like the defining aspect of the movie.
I like that the sequel starts off right where the first one ends.
Yeah.
You know what I just started watching again? I've been watching the Hellraiser movies again. Have you seen those?
I have. They're my favorite horror franchise.
I like those because even if they're bad, the bad guy designs are always so cool, and that world is so crazy.
It's my favorite. Did we talk about Hellraiser on here? No. I just did an interview for Fangoria.com.
Oh, how did you do an interview with Fangoria? Speaking of nostalgia,
yes.
When I was a kid, I would go to there would be these we'd go to these bazaars where my parents would get like vegetables and stuff every Friday. Huge, but they would also have these magazine guys, and they would just have magazines that never got sold, or people sell their old magazines. So I would go and buy every Mad magazine that I didn't have and every Fangoria. And I just used to read like
That's brilliant.
fucking Fangoria.
I love
over
it.
and
Yeah.
over.
This guy Ken, who's a great guy, works at Fangoria, and he was a big Opie and Anthony fan, and he contacted me and he goes, I think you're really funny and I want to interview you.
So it's about horror movies?
It's like he's doing this thing where he talks to comedians that love horror movies.
Oh, that's
so I'm
great.
sure he would love to talk to you. You should talk to him.
Yeah.
But I got to do an interview with them, and they had a subsidiary website called Diabolique, and I did an interview with them too. But we talked. That's where I thought we talked about it on the podcast. But it was that
Yeah.
we talked about favorite franchises, and Hellraiser is my favorite. And the reason that it's one of the reasons that it's my favorite is because to me the monsters are so timeless. Clive Barker did such a great way of creating a believable version of demonic representatives of hell or whatever.
Yeah.
They come in, they're dressed in this like otherworldly, timely way. They look, the paleness, everything. There's nothing about it where you could go, that's ridiculous. Why would people from hell look like that? It's like you could see that movie 300 years from now and go, yeah, that's probably what people in hell look like.
Sexual S&M aspect to it. I think that's fun.
I love that it's all primal. I love that it's something that's almost at the same time liberating, but also with a hard moral judgment to it. Like, oh, you want to taste the flesh? You'll pay the price.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a really interesting take on a horror movie.
I just don't like seeing that actor Doug Bradley because he looks like such a fucking putz. And then as Pinhead, he looks so awesome.
I've met him a few times.
How come?
Because I've been at horror conventions.
Oh, really?
Multiple times. We
should go. I didn't know you were such a big horror fan.
I'm a huge horror fan. I'll take you in to show you my collection in a minute.
Oh, sweet.
I was performing at a comedy club in New Jersey that was in the same hotel as HorrorCon. That was the first time, or MonsterCon, whatever it's called. And that was the first time I'd ever sort of experienced it. And it was an amazing week. You want to talk about nostalgia gone wild. Fucking Robert Englund was there.
I bet he's cool, right?
I didn't really meet him. He seemed really nice. I was like having a conversation in a part of a group that he was in at one point.
Yeah.
But like we never talked.
I met Tony Todd. That was cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Those guys about. You know who I met? I met Sid.
Oh, Sid Haig?
Sid Haig.
Yeah.
I met him in the hallway.
Yeah.
I was with this girl and I was really drunk.
You were like, holy shit.
And I saw Sid Haig and I go, "You're Sid Haig?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Dude, you're the only part of House of a Thousand Corpses that I liked." And he was like,
Thanks,
I guess.
I think the second one of those, what's it called?
Devil's Rejects
is fucking awesome.
You know, man, I like Rob Zombie and I respect what he does. I'm not a big fan of his movies.
That's the only one of his that I like.
Raw. It's too I just feel like I'm getting slapped across the face with a dick the whole time.
But also
or something.
slick and like quick cuts in an off-putting way that doesn't really fit the kind of stuff that he likes.
They're well done, but like I just don't like it. It's too like I was so excited for Lords of Salem.
Oh, how is it?
It's I have a copy. You can borrow it. It's fine. It's like it's not bad. It's just by the fucking 7th scene where like burnt faced demons are jerking off dildos. You're just like, all right, I get it. I like stop just trying to make me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like just
I like
it's
Devil's Rejects. I think what I like about it is that it's this awful, horrible family.
Yeah.
But they're kind of the good guys, even though they're horrible and evil. And there's that great scene. I'm not gonna no spoilers, but the Freebird scene.
Right.
I think it's so cool where it's kind of like flashing back to happy times, and their happy times are like murdering people and stuff. It's played so straight.
Kind of
really
what I
like
mean.
it.
I don't know. That's the kind of stuff that bugs me about his movies. Like,
I didn't feel dirty.
I didn't like. It's not that it makes me feel dirty. Like his Halloween remake.
I haven't seen those.
He remade Halloween.
Yeah, I didn't want to see that.
It just goes into this place of such. Like, it's not enough that the kid's crazy and murders people. It's not enough that he comes from a bad family. Then it's also got to be like, the stepdad wants to fuck the daughter. And then you see the daughter fucking her boyfriend. And then that's when she gets... It's just too much. It's like, everything doesn't have to be so raw. And then also, here's the biggest part that bothers me about Halloween, about his remake. And this is a spoiler, so don't listen if you don't want to know. Danny Trejo plays the guy that looks after him in the mental institution from the time he's like 12 to the time he's 30 or whatever it is. And people like fuck with Michael Myers because he doesn't talk and he's like in this catatonic weird state all the time. And Danny Trejo is always the guy that's like, hey man, leave him alone. Like, and he really looks out for him because he realizes like this kid's sick. He's got a problem. Like, doesn't mean he should be treated like an animal. Or whatever. He looks out for him. And then like when he finally breaks loose, Danny Trejo confronts him and he's like, listen, Mike, like, come on, buddy. Like, let's calm down. Like, let's go back to your room.
Let's calm down.
And then he kills Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
that's just like pointless.
It's just stupid.
That feels like a fuck you to the audience. Like, you care about this guy? Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, it would have been so much cooler if he didn't kill that guy. And I thought that there were, and then I thought, well, wait, is this guy redeemable in some way? That adds such a new layer to me.
Well, one of the things that I don't like about this new wave of like remakes, which is Halloween, Texas Chainsaw, which is the original is fucking amazing.
I like the remake too, honestly. I thought it was fun.
What I don't like about it is that I don't need to see the moment where he finds the chainsaw. Like all these things.
That's
like,
in the beginning. That's in the prequel one.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Well, there's the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Then there's Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning. Then there's Texas Chainsaw, which is the newest one.
I haven't seen that one.
Don't.
But that's what I don't like is that they all like try and go back like with Halloween. Like I'm okay. Michael Myers, he's credited in the first one as the Shape because he's pure evil.
Yeah.
Like he's just not even human. It's so mysterious. It's so great. It never says his name. It calls him the Shape.
Right.
And that's what, the Donald Pleasance is always saying, that he's like this fucking demon thing or whatever. And I think that's so badass. And then you go back and you say that his stepfather was trying to fuck the daughter or whatever, then it's not as cool anymore. Right. I don't need to see all that
That's
shit.
what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
need to see Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth Vader. I don't need to see... and it sort of started, I think, with...
Well, that was a big criticism of Nightmare on Elm Street, that people didn't like that they took it, that they kind of confirmed, like, yeah, he used to molest these kids, too.
But we knew that always, right?
I felt like we kind of did. It didn't bother me. It wasn't such a step. It wasn't like you ever saw anything in the movie. They just kind of say, like, yeah, that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can deal with that. But it's like, I don't need utter depravity all the time. This is what I don't like about the Rob Zombie stuff. It's one-sided evil. And as shitty as the arc of Anakin Skywalker may or may not be, and with George Lucas's take on why he becomes corrupt, at least George Lucas tried to be like, at least he would say, look, nobody's just evil. Okay? So like, whether we needed to see it or not, whether it ruined it or not, that's a different discussion. My point is like, I much more appreciate a guy going, nobody's just evil. There's an arc to this. Whereas I feel like with Rob Zombie, it's just like, they're fucking crazy and they murder. And it's like, what? It's all right.
I don't have a problem with the Freddy thing, even though I haven't seen the movie, because his origin story has always been part of his character. He's the guy who killed kids and then they burned him. Like, that's always been part of his character. Right. Michael Myers' backstory has never been part of his character. Leatherface's backstory has never been part of his character. That's just like sort of a weird, fucked up cannibal family.
Well, here's why, I'm being hypocritical now with Halloween, because one of the things I always liked about the Halloween sequels is when Donald Pleasance would go, some things are just evil.
Yeah, I like that. That's what I like about it.
There was more of the mystery of just like, this fucking demon somehow ended up in the shape of a human.
Yeah.
The shape. Yeah. And then here we are.
That's what I like about it.
What was there was a thing I wanted to say more to you about. What? I think we lost it.
What was it?
We were back. It was Hellraiser. Then there was something I thought you would really appreciate, and we just didn't get to it. And I can't remember now. Oh well. It doesn't matter.
But yeah, that's what I don't like is, the reboots obviously don't ruin it, but there's something about the original that a lot of them seem to not get. What's cool about them, they don't get what made those movies good.
Well, it's like The Matrix. It's like once they started to over-explain what was happening, it wasn't cool anymore.
If you see the first Texas Chainsaw and if you see the first Halloween, they're pretty like understated. Like, you remember Texas Chainsaw as being super fucked up, and it is. They don't really show you that much. It's what they don't show you. Like his first kill is fucking awesome, where it's just like, You just see him go by, kills the person, closes the door. So subtle.
Yeah.
Same with Halloween. It's a lot of like tension and stuff. And then now these remakes are just like, as you're saying, just like in your face depravity.
Well, yeah, it feels more real when it's a little understated in certain places. The best commentary I ever heard about Texas Chainsaw Massacre and why it's so scary is that it feels like you're watching a documentary.
It's so dirty and grimy.
Yeah, it feels like you're watching a documentary, and it's the little things. The scariest part of that movie isn't the chainsaw. The scariest part is when he sits down and is like doing that with his tongue.
Yeah.
And like kind of like going.
Yeah,
and
like
you're
what
like,
the fuck is this person's problem?
Yeah, you're like, what are we dealing with here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so great. It's so great.
That whole scene at the dinner table is so fucked up and crazy.
You ever see the third one?
Is that the one with Matthew McConaughey?
No, that's the fourth one.
I've seen that one.
That one's it's got its moments. It's not great. I really love the third one though. And in the third one, they go back to the house and they do another dinner scene. And in that scene, they nail the girl's hands to the chair. It's really upsetting.
I have seen it.
It's great though. It's a great fucking movie.
Yeah.
Well, this was awesome, dude.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me.
Is that too abrupt of an ending? I don't know.
No.
I feel like we geeked out. This was perfect.
Yeah,
this
we
is
really
what
did
I wanted.
geek out.
Well, I guess the one question, just answer the one question if you could. Like, do you think nostalgia is possible without the heart? You know, is it just a brain thing? Is it just, I saw this at this time, it reminded me of this, therefore it's a sense memory, and therefore anything I ever see that will also become nostalgic will be a sense memory? It's all just chemical? Or do you think it really is just a thing in your soul, you know, that's undefinable?
To me, soul and brain are the same thing. So, you know, I mean, your soul is just a combination of different chemicals in your head. I don't mean this to be in an unromantic way. I really do think that people are a collection of these weird things. I mean, we don't know how the brain works. Like the fact that I fucking knew Snout Spout's name is crazy. So there's like a lot of mystery there. And I think what, to me, nostalgia isn't purely intellectual. It is a heart thing. But to me, both those things are pretty connected.
That was the perfect answer.
Oh, great.
Were you going to say more?
No.
Because that was perfect.
Great.
We just solved it.
Okay.
We just solved it. There's your answer. The brain and the soul are the same thing. There's your nostalgia.
Yeah, and just play the video games you like, you know? I still will break out Street Fighter 2, and I'm like, this is still a perfect fighting game.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah, and that sound takes you back. Oh, great.
All of it. The music, everything. This was great, Kumail. Thank you for being here, and I'm really excited. And what you want to plug anything?
Well, you mentioned Silicon Valley every Sunday after Game of Thrones at 10 p.m. And then I do a show at the Meltdown every Wednesday. Hey, you got to do Meltdown sometime. It's on Sunset between La Brea and Fairfax, 8:30 p.m. And I do a podcast with my wife called The Indoor Kids that's about video games on the Nerdist Network. Oh,
that's great. Okay, check out the podcast. Go to the Meltdown show. Get there early because it sells out every week, and it's such a fun show. It's a party vibe. It's
great.
It's just wonderful. The crowd's cheering and clapping.
You know what I like?
It's really amazing.
I've been in front of so many different kinds of shows and crowds where they're always the vibe is like, all right, prove it to me. Show me that you're funny. Here, everyone assumes you're really funny, and there's really no judgment, and all kinds of comedians do well, you know?
Yeah.
More clubby people do great, like people doing super weird shit do great, characters do great, everything does great.
It's really wonderful. It's a lovely, lovely audience, and it's just from the minute the music starts and they start clapping to the music and cheering, it's really wonderful. So check that out, and definitely check out Silicon Valley. It's, in my opinion, the funniest thing Mike Judge has done since Office Space, and I love everything he's done.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not discrediting anything in between, but I saw this and I was like, oh my God, this is so reminiscent. It's making me nostalgic for Office Space.
Yeah.
So check it out. TJ Miller, Thomas Middleditch, such a great cast. And that's it. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Great.
Today's podcast is brought to you by the memory of yesterday. Remember yesterday? It really was better than today. Stop kidding yourself with all that bright future bullshit.
Down with Joe DeRosa.
Welcome to Down with Joe DeRosa. I'm Joe DeRosa. One topic, one guest, 1 hour. Today, we're discussing nostalgia, and I am a horribly nostalgic person. I love dreaming about the past, longing for another time, wishing it were yesteryear, and saying things like, man, I didn't know how good I used to have it. Without question, my thirst for nostalgia sometimes interferes with my hunger for the present. But I don't want to get off on a negative note here. I think nostalgia can be a really great thing. It's a positive emotional experience. Hearing certain songs evokes the same certain feelings I got when I first heard them. Certain smells transport me back in time. And a movie, like Star Wars, could quite possibly bring tears to my eyes because of the rush of childlike wonder it fills me with. But that doesn't mean I'm not excited about discovering new music and undiscovered scents, and most importantly, a fresh batch of Star Wars movies. So the trick is finding a healthy balance between the stuff I love from before and the stuff I should start loving now. However, before always seems to tip the scale in its favor. It's an unfair advantage. The past is too burned into my brain, and I realize that means that some of my nostalgia can be attributed to conditional responses. Basically, my brain linked a memory to my first experience with, say, a certain taste or something like that, and now every time I taste that thing, the memory pops up. That's psychological. But my enjoyment of that happening, the tingling warmth and contented sigh it inspires, that's nostalgia. That's different, I think. Well, look, here's something interesting, and it comes from an article written by Sarah Dowdy at howstuffworks.com. Sarah wrote, quote, your brain forges a link between, say, the smell and a memory, associating the smell of chlorine, for example, with summers at the pool or lilies with a funeral. When you encounter that smell again, the link is already there, ready to elicit a memory or a mood, end quote. So again, this is sense memory stuff. But that whole bit about summers at the pool really resonates with me and makes me wonder, would nostalgia even exist if it wasn't for sense memory? Without it, would we look back sweetly on the past events and experiences of our lives, or would we simply just remember them? What I'm asking is, does our heart actually have anything to do with nostalgia, or is it our brains actually putting the fond in memories? Let's try to find out. I have a fond memory about when I first met today's guest, and it was at the movies. We saw Batman Begins. We watched the movie.
That's what sex is, a little bit of death, right?
Yeah. But I remember in Ghostbusters being like literally jumping out of the seat scared when the librarian turns into the ghoul.
Yeah.
And then utter relief as soon as it was over and it hit the credits. And then the credits were fun and it was playing the Ray Parker Jr. song. And then knowing this, feeling the safety of, okay, I got past the big boy part. Now it's just going to be fun.
Yeah.
And then loving it so much.
Yeah.
Like, it was amazing. I remember seeing Ghostbusters 2 in the theater.
Yeah, I like 2 also. And now I can't even tell if I like it because I liked it as a kid or if, like, Gremlins 2 is one of my favorite movies still.
You know, Gremlins 2 I didn't see until very recently. And I think I saw it too late.
Yeah.
I loved Gremlins 1, but Gremlins 2 was one of those movies where it came out and I had transitioned enough as a kid that when Gremlins 2 came out, I remember being like, that looks silly. I don't want to see that. Like, it wasn't hard. It didn't have a hard edge enough to it.
No, it's totally sort of meta and goofy.
Yeah.
There's a part where, isn't that the one where the movie, the reel fucks up and then Hulk Hogan makes them put the movie you're watching? That's the first time I've seen anything meta like that. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
It's so weird.
And there's like Leonard Maltin is giving a shitty review to the first one and then he gets attacked by the gremlins.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing. I'd never seen that shit.
It's totally fucking crazy.
It's crazy.
It's
and it was
totally fucking
so
crazy.
long ago it came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's almost like an SCTV sketch. You know what it's like? Gremlins 2 is like if they did an episode of The Muppets where the Gremlins like guest hosted it.
Yeah.
It would be like that's what it would be.
It is like that. Also, that scene where the bad boss lady, who's the redhead, like plays footsie with him. That was another scene that like made me feel real uncomfortable.
I love that you call her the bad boss lady, and I don't think you were doing that to
I was just
childlike. I think
that's just how I always remember her. She was the bad boss lady, redhead.
That's amazing. That's going to be my new impression of you. I'm going to say that because I started.
Boss lady.
I know Pete Holmes already does an impression of you, but I started to do an impression of you, telling me to get the Strider video game.
Oh, did you get it?
I did.
That's another great because it's nostalgia.
You said to me, you go. Well, it is nostalgia. Let's talk about it. I go, how's that new Strider game? And you go, oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. It's everything you could want from a Strider game. You should download it. Hey, you should do Meltdown. I always end the impression with, hey, you should do Meltdown.
You should do Meltdown.
But that's going to be the new impression. I remember the bad boss lady. You should do Meltdown. I don't think we really spoke. I mean, there were other people there. It wasn't like I was just meeting him and then we sat there in silence. He seemed real nice, though, and he is. He's hilarious, too. His comedy special and album, Beta Male, are proof of that. Further proof of his comedic skills comes in the form of the fanatical audiences that gather every week to watch him co-host LA's most popular comedy show, The Meltdown. But it doesn't stop at stand-up. He's been seen in popular films like The 5-Year Engagement and The Kings of Summer, and critically acclaimed television shows like Portlandia. He's also one of the stars of Franklin and Bash, and he currently resides on the absolutely fantastic HBO series Silicon Valley. You need to watch it. He's also a shitload of fun to drink and hang out with, and I'm just happy he's here. Kumail Nanjiani, hi.
How's it going, man? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
You'll have to take this part out, but I'm distracted by your neighbor.
Which?
You have to take this out, but she's like a redhead over here.
Why do we have to take it out?
Just because, I don't know, I feel skeezy. She's just... You don't know her? She's very attractive.
I don't think she's my neighbor. I think maybe she's meeting my neighbor. I've never seen that lady before in my life. What if I looked out the window and I was like, what redhead? What are you talking about?
She's been dead for 20 years.
There used to be a redhead that lived upstairs. She looks from the back. This sounds so gross. I don't mean like she looks good from the back. I just mean like she's not turned. She's her back.
She's a
is
very
dressed.
Attractive lady.
From the back, she looks like she might be very attractive. I haven't seen the front.
Yeah, the front's great too.
Can we leave this in, or will you get in trouble because of your wife?
Oh, it'll be fine, I think.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're allowed to.
She knows I find women attractive.
Yeah, look, but don't touch.
Oh yeah, no touching.
That's from Devil's Advocate.
Is that the first time that phrase was said?
No, I quote that speech all the time. It's one of my favorite movie speeches ever. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I've seen it once.
The end of the movie, Al Pacino, who plays the devil in it, gives such a convincing speech against God that you're like, yeah, the devil's right. He does this whole thing. He's like, he's a sadist.
Yeah.
He tells you, look, but don't touch. Touch, but don't taste. Taste, but don't swallow. Yeah, and then he
that's
starts,
a great speech.
it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
He starts calling God an absentee landlord. He put you here and turned his back on you.
That's
I'm
pretty
here.
good.
I'm down in it.
Yeah.
I'm getting my hands. It's an awesome speech.
Yeah.
And it's playing Frank Sinatra in the background. And it was when I realized Frank Sinatra is the music that you could equally see God and the devil both like.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
It's funny that you were talking about nostalgia because right behind you have a picture of Frank Sinatra and a stormtrooper.
Yes.
That's exactly...
Yeah, that's the biggest thing in the nostalgia department for me are the things that I'm like a fan of. Like I'm like the best fan that you could ever hope to have for your band or your comedy. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'll never turn my back on you. I stick with you through the bad albums.
Are you still like
You know?
on board with like U2 or whatever?
I never
Or did
really
you like
was a
U2
big
then?
U2
Yeah.
guy. I was finding it interesting that that's the band you picked.
I
Why?
don't know. I was
What-
just trying to think of a band that now isn't as relevant as it used to be, or like Bruce Springsteen. Did you ever like Bruce Springsteen?
Never been a big Springsteen
I
fan.
loved
I like that
Springsteen.
you're really going for these mid-'80s.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do is come up with people who were huge, and I think Bruce Springsteen. Speaking of nostalgia,
Yeah.
like Born to Run, that album, I loved. Obviously, I found it years after it had come out.
Sure.
But here's interesting. This is the interesting. I was thinking about this. Like nostalgia, it's good because, like you said, it connects to a moment in your life in the past. And I think there's a bunch of reasons that's appealing. One, because it sort of takes you back. One, I think I'm afraid of growing old. We're all afraid of growing old and death. And
Terrified.
thinking of, nostalgia sort of is a reminder of, when you were even more alive than you are now.
Yeah.
But do you think that this is my fear? So I was at WonderCon, which is like a small Comic Con,
Yeah.
and I was looking at all these like Ninja Turtles toys I used to have.
Yeah.
And I was like fucking taken back. I was like, oh my god, I remember their names. You
Yep.
know, like
Yeah.
who was it? Oh, Snout Spout. That's a He-Man guy. I was like, I know his name, Snout Spout. And it was like, it's weird that it just goes in some part of your brain that's in there.
Yeah.
And you don't access it, but then every now and then, like it's in there. But are you afraid? I'm afraid that if I go back too much and do too much nostalgic stuff, that I'll replace those memories with my current memories. So I don't want to replace my memories of playing with snout spout as a kid
Right.
with
Which sounds like a term for masturbating.
yeah. Well, he was an elephant and he had a trunk and it would shoot water out. So, but I'm afraid now that when I see snout spout, I'm gonna think of when I ran into snout spout, last year instead of when I was a kid. I'm afraid of.
I see what you're saying. You're
Yeah.
afraid. So you're afraid I never, I hear what you're saying. I never, as excited as I am about Star Wars Episode 7, I mean, I couldn't be more excited. A lot of people don't get it. They go, why are you so excited? I go, the Star Wars was my Beatles. Like, this is literally like if you said to a Beatles fan, the Beatles aren't dead.
Yeah.
And they're going to start putting new albums out again. I mean, it's literally the thing I never thought I'd see happen.
Yeah, but
And-
Phantom Menace wasn't so long ago.
Yeah, but it's the Star Wars, the fact that it's going to be Han Solo and Luke Scott, like the fact that they're doing sequel Star Wars, I'm beside myself.
Yeah.
I'm giddy. But as excited as I am and as much as I hope for that experience to be amazing, I don't want it to replace when I went to the movies as a child and saw Empire Strikes Back and was fucking devastated when the credits rolled and Han Solo was still frozen.
Yeah.
I never want to lose that. I mean, that was I never want to lose the memory of crying at Superman 3 because he turns evil in it.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that in the
hard one.
theater, and I was like, oh, what's
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah. I mean, I watched, like, Ghostbusters is a movie I watched a bunch of times. I've seen it a lot. And now, to me, Ghostbusters is just, unfortunately, a great movie and not... I don't really have memory of when I was a kid watching it. I sort of remembering, you know what I mean? Like I had a ghost of a feeling, but the more I watch it, I don't connect like specific parts to like when that librarian ghost screams. I was terrified, but I don't feel that terror anymore that I felt as a kid.
Yeah, I don't get the same scared feeling because I'm just older and it doesn't scare me. But I can tell you, I remember the moment in the movie theater when that happened and how much it scared the shit out of me. And then I remember this so distinctly about Ghostbusters, and it's one of the reasons I love the movie so much. I remember that my mom taking me, it was my mom and our neighbor, the mom that was our neighbor and her son, and the four of us went, and I remembered the two moms telling the two kids, there's apparently a very scary part at the beginning of the movie. I guess they had read a review that said like, it's good for the kids, even just get past the first 5 minutes or whatever. And
that scene where Sigourney Weaver is possessed is going to make you a man.
Yes, yeah. It's going to give you a boner, and you're not going to understand why.
Yeah.
But yeah, to this day, I still get uncomfortable watching Ghostbusters with my mom at that part. It's too animalistic and sexual. It makes me feel very uncomfortable.
You don't like it? It like connects to a part of me. Like to this day, I think that's the epitome of sexy to me.
No, I like it. That's why I don't like seeing it with my mom.
Of course.
Yeah. It's that scene is a guy going, I'm going to write a scene about every crazy woman that I loved fucking that I was terrified to have in my house.
Yes.
It's that exact, they capture it in one scene. Like, this is what it's like when you're going to fuck that girl that you think you might need to hide your knives from.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah, it's going to be great. But hide the knives.
Yeah, it's going to be like, that's like roller coaster sex.
Yeah.
Complete excitement and terror at the same time.
Fear of death and also,